Because we'll soon be starting trying to fill up that container garden, we need to get some things into containers. And this one's quite a good size, and it's got holes drilled in the bottom. And we've been planting lots and lots of things in quite large containers, 10 to 15 litres. And we've got things like this Savoy cabbage that's grown away quite happily. And we've got cauliflower as well. Not to mention a really good sized red cabbage. But we haven't done a broccoli yet. And I've got one of these plants. It's a nice size broccoli plant, that. So because we want at least one of everything in that container garden, I'm going to pop one into this. Because apart from it being a good sized plant, the roots are now starting to grow out at the bottom. So that plant's going to get restricted quite soon. So it's best we move it on. And then we can pop it down into that container garden once it's got established. And as always, I keep saving all that waste from seeding compost. Because there's nothing wrong with it, it's just too lumpy for seed germination or even little seedlings. But we save it to top up these. And that's going to save us on us better quality compost. This is this year's compost that we've saved, so it's still full of nutrients. But we can also help by adding a bit extra, and that's fish blood and bone. That will keep your plants going for quite a while. And then we can just top it up with some finer quality stuff. I'm just going to compress this down a little bit. Brassicas don't like growing in really loose compost. And then we can take this plant out and have a look at it. And then we can see to what extent this root system's grown. And I'd say that's pretty good. But it's not at a stage just yet where it's going to be a problem by getting root bound. So if we move it now, that won't happen. And in a container that size, we're only going to put one plant. So a nice deep hole in that, using that original container. And then we can just drop that plant straight in. And then again, make sure it's firmly bedded in. And that's one less plant that we have to worry about now from all these that we've got in little pots still. That's going to grow quite happily in there. And because that tub is not a huge tub, it's not going to be hard to move it around, because broccoli and cauliflower doesn't like getting too hot. So when we put them in as raised beds outside, and then we get crazy weather like last year, and I think that went up to about 103, which is not normal for UK. Plants like that are going to bolt, and then they're no good to nobody. But at least while we're keeping them in containers, we can move them into shade when we need to. So this year we're planning ahead. I've also got this container, still quite a big size. It's just not as deep as the other one. But for certain plants that doesn't matter. If you're going to plant shallow rooted plants, the top area is more important than the actual depth. And we're going to use this one to transplant some of his red onions that we've grown from seed. And because we're growing onions that we want to bulb up as much as possible, we don't want to compact this down either. And if a container that size is still a little bit big for what area you've got available, you can still grow onions in something like that. It's only a little caravan wash bowl. You just need to make sure there's plenty of holes in the bottom. And then you could still put quite a few onions in there and just grow them on, so that you get small to medium onions. And these are onions that we've grown from seed, called Red Brunswick. We usually grow them from sets, but it's not very often that they turn out very good when we're doing from sets. So we thought this year we'd try seeds. And we have multi-sown them, but I think to get an half decent sized red onion, I think we'll split these off and grow them as single plants. They definitely need to come out of this tray anyway. So that's basically the space that we've got to work with. And you've got to be careful when you take these onions out, or you'll just rip all roots off them. So we'll just try and ease them out. And if we're really careful, we can get out a single plant with plenty of roots still attached. So central, and we'll pop it in and we'll try and stand it up best way we can. That one has got a couple of onions, so we'll just break it apart. That one to me is not really worth saving. I'm just trying to take out the tallest ones that we've got, and we want his onions to grow to about that size. So away from there we'll do another one. Just need to make sure we allow them enough room to start bulbing up when that time comes. This one again has got 3 plants in, but one of them's really small, so we'll take that one away. There's not really anything to it, and then we'll separate the other 2. And you can see you've got the start of a little bulb there. And that one's not a bad size either, so we're keeping that. Then I'm going to plant this one just a couple of inches away from that edge, so it's still got room to grow. And we'll do that same thing again right there. Just be really careful when you do this that you don't break the roots on the bottoms of these plants. This one's got 2, but they're both quite a good size, so hopefully we can keep both of those. That one again, straight in, an inch or so away from edge and upright, and we'll just carry on until we've filled the entire container. And I think for now that'll do. They've still got enough room to bulb up into an half decent size, so we'll not overdo it. What I'll do with those is I'll leave them in here for a week or so, let them get established, by which time it'll be a little bit warmer and a little bit lighter, and then we'll move these down to a container garden, and that's where they'll stay until we either get something or we don't. But if I can get a container of just medium-sized red onions this year, that's enough for me. So we'll see how they go. We've still got quite a lot left. So what I'll do with those is I'll just plant them outside somewhere, maybe on the edges of raised beds, because onions are quite a good deterrent for things like aphids. So we'll leave those as they are for now, and then tomorrow we'll probably move some more bits and bobs on. And if you're interested in seeing that, then please hit that subscribe button and press that notifications bell. And we look forward to seeing you at the next one. Take care.